Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to talk about tokenization. We're going to talk about XRP. I got a clip from John Deaton. I also have a clip here from Digital Asset Investor and the Uphold CEO. It's going to be a great video. Stick with me through the whole thing. If you're new to the channel, I'm Crypto Sensei. I help you on your crypto education here in the crypto space, and I bring a lot of XRP content. If you're new, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me grow. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers by the end of this month, and I can only do it with your help. Let's go ahead and play this, and I will give you the context.
The size of the marketplace, because we've got a single digital chain of ownership now that we're looking at, from issuer all the way through to investor. Everything that's out there in capital markets today can be tokenized, and then you can add on.
Everything out there in capital markets can be tokenized. You're talking stock, bond, derivative, equities, money market, right? Tokenizing real estate, tokenizing gold, tokenizing any kind of asset. Think about how many different minerals, or I'm not an element specialist, but think about how many things go into smart cars, right? And the batteries, right? Those aren't really good for the environment, but that's a lot of different things from all over the world. Those values can get tokenized, and those values can be traded on an exchange of some kind. And that's what we're talking about here.
Top of that, real estate, you can add on top illiquid securities, SMEs and so on. So we've estimated $1,400 trillion of assets.
It's a lot of cheddar.
The reality is it's more than we currently do. That's what truly matters to us. When we look at where the demand is coming from and the changes, we see that Citi came out a couple of months ago saying there's an 80-fold increase in tokenization in the next 6 years. Northern Trust HSBC said 5 to 10% of all assets.
Hold on, 80x over the next 5 years. What other market, right, do you understand that is going to 80x over the next 5 years? And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to understand what crypto assets are going to be used on this type of scale. Because if we can get into those crypto assets early enough, right, which is right now, we all have the same opportunity. We're just needing to learn about it. We're the ones who can benefit from these world and tokenization.
Tokenized, that's about 19.5 trillion. We came up with a 16 trillion. Whatever it is, it's a big number. So we look then behind that and say,
guys, the fact of the matter is we are moving to a new system where value moves instantly, right? And how that value moves instantly is through blockchain and DLT. Right? They are not going to be using Bitcoin to do this, to tokenize assets, right? It is too slow. It is too costly. You're talking about moving trillions of dollars, right? This is going to be probably some Ethereum, some HBAR, some XRP, some XLM, right? XLM Stellar has a partnership with Franklin Templeton to tokenize real world assets. There is going to be a lot of players in this space, and there's a lot of money to divvy up between those players. Right? And this is our opportunity to own a piece of the financial future, right? Never before have you had the access to be able to own a piece of technology that banks and central banks are going to use to move and transact value. That is very, very powerful. And that is why I am so focused on what is happening right now in the crypto market. And if you're watching this video, so are you. So kudos to you. All right, let's play this. Ripple partners Zodia Custody on the evolution of custody type services. I think we're in the stage where the third generation. What does the fourth generation look like? Let's play this.
I think the way I look at it, if I just take a step back, is I think we're in the stage where we're the third generation of custody type services. So if you just forgive me for 30 seconds, I think stage one was an exchange that had some custody, and it was all within a walled garden effectively, and we all know what happened with FTX as an example. Then we had a number of custodians that were standalone, and there were a number of exchanges that used that. But you still got counterparty risk, you still have to do pre-funding, etc. So where the industry is at the moment is on off exchange settlement or off venue settlement, to use the wider perspective, which effectively means that your assets are still within the custodian, safe, secure, regulated, etc. But the exchanges can go and trade on it, and therefore you're changing your risk profile, your operational risk, etc. That's all well and good, and probably most of you understand that far better than I do. I think the bit that I think is super interesting is, what does the fourth generation look like? Where do we need to get to? And that is where we have interoperability. And that is where you've got many exchanges or many venues talking to many custodians. Because while we would all like all the assets to be with Zodia, I'm sure Susanna would like some of the assets to be with her. And actually what happens in TradFi is you have multiple custodians. That may be for asset types, it may be for risk management, it may be for geographical reasons. So that that is super important, that a client is going to have multi-custodians and will want to trade across multi-venues. And likewise, venues will want to trade and want to be able to store their assets. So I think this is where it gets really interesting, is instead of these one-to-one between an exchange and a custodian for off-exchange settlement, you're now going to have to get many-to-many. And that's where middleware comes in, or a clearing house like Clear Token and various other initiatives that are happening around the world. That then will transform a lot of the accessibility to the venues, but also to the custodians as well. And so I think that is where we will evolve. I think the number of custodians are going to significantly reduce. I think a number of the exchanges will significantly reduce. And the more interesting part, I think, is where you get the venues coming in, which are doing something very particular for clients. It's a bit of a long answer, but I think it's that many-to-many, which I think is going to be super interesting.
It's going to many-to-many, guys. It's going to be a lot of really interesting players in the space. And Ripple, XRP, and all of their partners are right at the forefront of all this innovation. And that is why I'm such a big fan of XRP. All right, Darren Moore posted this. Banks are allowed to use ledgers at this time. Check us out.
We've seen JP Morgan go the route of a private blockchain, for example. What was the decision process in terms of picking public versus private?
Well, so banks are subject to different regulations than, let's say, asset managers, or us. We're a registered transfer agent with the SEC and a broker dealer. We're subject to SEC regulations. Banks are subject to OCC regulations. And currently in the US, the OCC is recommending banks not to use public blockchains.
Yeah, I get that.
Kind of like underlying financial service infrastructure. We don't have the same kind of restrictions. And I do believe that public blockchains is where the innovation will happen, because of the compositability of being able to do things on top of it, etc. If you want to understand the differences, it's similar to when internet started and you have, American Online and MSN that were closed, and then you have the public internet, and the public internet is where the innovation happened, right? Because anybody could actually build things on top of what somebody else was building, right? So long term, I think that public blockchains is where the future is and where innovation will happen. And unfortunately, banks have restrictions, and they're still trying to be innovative, like JP Morgan with Onyx, but subject to what the regulators allow them to do.
Well, let's talk.
So it's a regulator problem, and it's also, think about this. If you're a bank, right, and you have all of these transactions, you don't want them in the public eye, right? You don't want your customers' transactions of where they're sending money for everybody to see. So there needs to be some type of private side to this, right? And what he's saying here is that since public ledgers that everyone can build on them, and private ledgers only select few people like banks or certain companies can build on those, you're going to get greater innovation on the public side because more people can build on it, right? That's very interesting. Clip with Uphold CEO, Ripple stablecoins earning XRP interest, Uphold node. Let me go ahead and play this.
Seen last year, we had an announcement that we're now a node in the Ripple ODL network. So Ripple use us to handle payouts for multinational companies moving treasury from one part of the world to another. We cover Europe, the UK, and the US, and it's been a very exciting business for us. It's exciting to see the utility use case of a major crypto in action. We can see the flows being used. We can see major fintechs and financial institutions using it day to day, and it's for us, it's a fantastic piece of business. We're big believers in blockchain technology. We're not really so interested in crypto as a speculative vehicle. Yeah. And here's an example of how blockchain is being used to serve a major problem in traditional financial infrastructure. So yeah, we're very excited to be part of it. Yeah, well, we're hugely excited about the stablecoin. I think it's good news for the XRP project. It's good news for XRP holders. Our view is that it's likely to increase transactionality on the network. It will encourage more people to build on the XRP ledger. An example would be, we saw in Cardano last year, they introduced a stablecoin on their ledger midway through the year, and it tripled development activity on Cardano within 6 months. And I heard that from one of the founders. So I think it's going to be a tremendous step forward, actually. And also, I'd imagine, if you're going in and talking to a major bank to adopt XRP as a way of moving value, it's going to be so much easier to talk about a stable coin. Banks don't employ people who understand crypto. But for them to understand a stablecoin, it's going to make it a much easier sell, I think, to get adoption.
And Ripple wants to have solutions, right? That's what they're there to do. When you wait for the masses to get into a crypto project, you're already too late. Buying with retail when a token launches can often lead to huge losses because people that have participated in either the pre-sale or any type of seed round or VC have their tokens and are going to be dumping on retail as the token goes up. Very rarely does the token launch and the token price just goes crazy. We see this sometimes with meme tokens, but normal projects that launch without centralized exchanges that are just launching on DEXs have that kind of initial wave up and then they kind of go flat for quite a long time. That's when the project is building, making partnerships, growing whatever they're doing, and that does take time. So the best and earliest chance that you have is to be early. And the way that you can do that is with information. We have a community of about 300 and something people in Cryptonaires. We also have a team of over 25 crypto experts from across the crypto space that are all sharing information together. If you don't have a lot of opportunity in your life, you need to go out and get opportunity and get connected with people that can give you opportunity. Link down in the description for Cryptonaires. I hope to see you around the community. So if they walk into a business meeting and whatever the company or the bank is saying, you know what, we don't, because of regulations, we can't use XRP, but we can use a stable coin. They want to be able to have anything, pull it rabbit out of their hat and say, here, we can use it. So John Deaton, XRP Las Vegas, the Ripple lawsuit, SEC versus Ripple. Let's play this.
Here is, at the end of last year, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals made a ruling that changed the law as it had been for my entire career and said that there have to be victims in order for the SEC to get disgorgement. And there have to be victims of the violation of the securities laws. And so those are the institutional sales that you're familiar with from the Torres decision. And the fact that the SEC was unable to come up with a single institution that lost money was interesting, surprising, and the fact that the law had changed, it said that is an essential element to get any disgorgement, not just 900 million plus 200 million in interest. To get any disgorgement, there have to be victims. The SEC was unable to show victims, but rather showed that there were institutions that got less of a discount than some other institutions, and if they had gotten the same discount, they would have made more than they actually made. And they're trying to say that's a loss. Well, you know what? The people in this room know what a loss looks like, you know? And that ain't a loss. Give me those losses.
All right. We'll have to see how this turns out, guys. I personally, this is what I think. After I've seen all this stuff, I think Ripple pays like a fine of about $100 million, give or take. I think that's really kind of where we're going to be, 80 to 100 million. Ripple suggests XRP is like gold. This is from Ed Farino. XRP in Ripple is gold in your hand, like the internet and global cross-borderless. And the document also refers to XRP as a vehicle currency with functions, reasons to be preferred over US dollar with the Ripple network. So when you're talking about like BRICS countries, they really don't have a currency that they either one of them trust, right? Or that either of them want to hold long term. So they need a asset that is really not favored to anybody, right? And I believe XRP could be that very asset because Ripple has done the work in these countries to build out, right? They're in Brazil, they're in Africa, right? They've done some work in China, they've done some work in Asia, they've done some work in Brazil and India and actually Russia too, but that's kind of a, I don't know how that's going to turn out. XRP Drop says, take a close look at the organizations that participated in the DMI summits, the OMFIF. So far, you will understand that Ripple is part of the financial elite and will help realize the internet of value. All right. So another organization here that you see, look at some of these names: Bank of International Settlements, Bank of England, European Banking Authority, European Commission, UK Treasury, right? Hong Kong Monetary Authority, International Money Fund, Saudi Central Bank. Okay. U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, BNP Paribas, Citi, DBS, Goldman Sachs, HSBC, JP Morgan, Societe Generale, my favorite bank to say, State Street, Wells Fargo, Swift, US, BIT, IBM, MasterCard, Microsoft, PayPal, and Ripple. You also have Real-Time Growth Settlement Global, Visa, Fidelity, Franklin Templeton, Neuberger Berman. What is the only blockchain company on this list? It's Ripple. It's Ripple. Enough said. Enough said. All right, and the last but not least, XRP Ledger, set up by Ripple in Sao Paulo, discussing the stable BRLA. Meet up with the XRP Ledger I can't do it. Pella Ripple e Common Appeal da Barada. I screwed that up so bad. XRP Ledger meetup sponsored by Ripple and sponsored by the BRLA. The BRLA is pegged to the Brazilian real and has extensively tested on the XRPL for payment processing. See below. I send money to Brazil all the time, and it is getting a lot cheaper through solutions like this. I'll leave it up to you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you are not subscribed, please think of subscribing to the channel. It helps me grow, and I know you really want to do that. So I'll see you next time. Aloha.